While I'm doing afternoon technical support after hours, I decided to make a video of this thing. So a great doctor once said that engineers can't leave anything alone. They always want to change everything. I won't mention which doctor and which wonderful movie that was. So I couldn't leave this thing alone. I had to revamp it. I won't say a lot, but a lot, which even included changing the flatbed one more time, and not that anybody would notice, but it doesn't matter. So this is the newly modified crane, and the reason why I modified it is because I didn't mind the ratchet and the little bar hanging down that would just get stuck, or into the rack for lifting and lowering, but I wanted to technify it. Technicify it. Technic Turntable, which means I wanted to make it so you would turn something and the crane would go up and down. Now, you can get very convoluted and complicated with cranes in the raising and lowering and all that stuff. I didn't want it to be complicated. I actually wanted to maintain the profile of basically a Technic brick, 2 plates, and a Technic brick, which was what the original one was that I built. And so I tried to keep it to that height. And the same length basically, because I think that looks cool. It's not huge, but everything I tried racks, I tried worm to 24, the standard worm to 24 gearing, anything I could do to raise and lower the boom, and everything I did was too weak, too strong, too big, too complicated. I mean, not too strong, but too big and overthought. Lots of gears, lots of whatever. And I finally was playing with in the end, I was finally playing with the geared pistons. And one of my ideas was to use one of them. But in the end, so all last night of wasting hours trying to get it to work, and then even come down to using one geared piston, and in a small one, which didn't do anything. Last night I ruminated when I was right for bed, and I thought, why don't I try using 2? The reason why I didn't think about that right off the bat is because the other profile I wanted to keep was 6 wide. I didn't want it to go 8 wide, and using these geared pistons with this end on them, it gets wide. I mean, the 2 of them together is 6 studs wide, and I didn't want to go to 8 studs wide. 8 studs out is the clamping mechanism to hold the whole thing together. But I put 2 of them together, and that turned out exceedingly well. And let's just take this thing off. I'm gonna set this thing down for a sec. You can point there. So I actually have this platform that I built for the. It's just pretty bleh by itself. But yeah, so we got a Technic turntable, and I didn't try to mechanize that, but though I could, really. But so you have the 2 geared pistons going straight that way, so that this piston is rigidly locked into here, and the head of the piston, the top of the piston, goes through this groove that I created through the Technic brick here. You can't see the front because I blocked it off because it looks cooler. But basically, as you turn this thing, it pushes the piston that way, which causes these 2 8L Technic axles. Let me just keep on going so you can see it. So these like gray pieces are between the 2 piston heads. That's it. And so the piston heads pulling back and forth. That's the extent of it. And I said, that's brilliant. It's amazing it took me that long to come up with that. And the gearing down here is very, very rudimentary. It's basically the 24 tooth gears are for you turning, for the user interface. It goes to a big crown gear, to a small crown gear. And so this thing just goes up and down. And because it's all in one linear from here all the way back to here, it's strong because that's what the whole Technic thing is for. So these things hold the pistons. This goes over here, which holds this whole thing. This is clamped to the turntable, so it can't come apart this way. It can't come apart this way. So it's very strong and simple in the end. It took me a long time to get here though. So, and like, oh, these things came out. How did that happen? I have to start this thing over again. So I have to figure out how to stop that from happening. There we go. Probably when I lifted it. I might change this so it's not axles, because that falls out. There you go. Quick fix. So now this just goes up. Now it doesn't go as high as it used to with the thing just sitting on the rack. But then I decided that I really don't need it to go that high. I think it goes to about 40-degree angle. So in the end, it does what I want it to do, which is fantastic. So this thing goes back in here. This thing gets locked into place by these guys. And I did this so I could keep on modifying the crane without modifying the flatbed connector. So let's get this thing going down here. Now again, the void here, so all this stuff just plugs right into here, and that's that, right? Actually, that's backwards. Let's put it this way. So in universe, you go into a job site, this thing is down. I'm gonna do some tech support right now. Dave doing tech support, waiting for something across the network. Where am I here? Back to this. So waiting. So this thing just sits on the back of the flatbed like everything else, and I had to, because of this strengthening piece here, these things this is in the way for this guy, so I just bent it back there. So that's fine. That's exactly what it's for. And it goes to the job site. Now, obviously, it's a crane, and there's going to have to be some sort of counterbalance of whatever it's lifting on this side. So I decided to make a flatbed that can just hold all the weights. So these guys, 6 weights, 6 standard Lego weights. So it just goes to the job site. Job site. Okay, so when it gets to the job site, the outriggers come down, obviously. Come on. I'm not good at multitasking. I never have been. And then these come down. Again, this was built into the crane to hold the outriggers in place so they don't tip up, right? Oops, like that. Should slow down a little bit. Okay. So now the outriggers, they don't tilt, they can't tilt because they're blocked by these things. So here's the crane. And right now it's fine. It doesn't need any extra counterbalance. And I put the thing on both sides so you can whatever. But when you try to pick something up, let's just get this thing all the way back here. Like this thing, all of a sudden you'll see that it needs some counterweight. So it will go up with this thing, and then this thing goes out like that. Gotta fix that a little bit. I am fast realizing that this thing is supposed to have a stopping mechanism, but it's been ignoring it. But you can see that this front is off the ground now. And if, I think if we go right here, it's actually gonna flip over, right? So you don't want that. So this is where the counterweights come in. So this thing comes with you, and you start putting counterweights at the back. Again, in universe, the idea would have been for this guy to come along for the trip, right? And this guy would take the counterweights from here and put them on here. Now, there's no way those click hinges in the reality. There's no way the click hinges are going to be able to lift. Oh, not bad. So, but you know, in universe, that's what would happen. This guy would come along and take the counterweights from this guy, and put them onto the back here. So, and then this guy would go away, and all of a sudden you have, I'll pull back a little bit. You have a crane, and the crane is as high as it gets, which is fine. And it's pretty balanced. Like, if you know Technic turntables, if there's too much weight on one side, there's no way this thing is spinning as smoothly as it does, right? So I'm happy with that. And I'm also happy that, let me take this off, this thing will also lift this guy, right? So, I mean, this is what the whole crane was for in the first place. And so in universe, again, you would want the crane to put stuff down. Just get this thing over here, park it. I have a little bit of a slope to my table. Okay, I'm just gonna put this here so I can do this with two hands, because this thing's just gonna keep on rolling down. So yeah, it's time consuming, tedious, blah, blah, blah. I get it. Right there. And then the magnets, I mean, I don't have electromagnets yet, right? So and then this comes down and these things come up, and then this thing goes off and goes to where it's supposed to go, right? So this crane will lift on and off corridors and vehicles. So, you know, in the end, that's what I wanted to do. And in the end, I can see back in the day, when there used to be Lego conventions, there was a whole bunch of people, or a few people, that would build monstrous cranes and show them off. Like, it was unbelievably how fantastically huge some of those cranes were, like 14 feet tall, and they're fully operational, and they're built out of 100% Lego. And I was just in awe when I saw pictures. I never saw one in real life, but I was just in awe in pictures. And after tinkering with this thing for the last couple nights, I can see why people like building cranes out of Lego. Now, this is a mini crane, and I actually got some inspiration. Let me just get this thing out of the way. I had to pull out this guy. Because I was trying to figure out the what I was going to do for the there you go. I was trying to figure out the rack and pinion, so I actually was trying to figure out this mechanism again. I hadn't looked at it in such a long time, and so I was trying to build that into here. And it just got way too big and way too convoluted and way too brittle, and things would go wrong. Right now, the only thing that's going wrong is some of the loose pieces, but the up and down mechanism is working exactly as it's supposed to. And I can't complain that I cannot complain about this at all. I was impressed how well it came together once I got the idea of using the two geared pistons and the counterweights. So the counterweights came after, as I was lifting up these things, like the corridors and stuff, because I'd had to have the outrigger straight out all the time, and I wouldn't be able to turn it at all without it flopping over. So I had to come up with this whole back end. I mean, I started with 3, which wasn't bad, but as soon as you get the corridor fully extended, the thing would still want to flop over. So added 6 altogether, and this seems to be doing everything I wanted to do. Now, it was kind of an add-on, so it's not the best in the world, but so without the weight there, it's not smooth at all. But it works, and you can go there. These come off. The one thing that changed from the first crane that I had to this one is because of these guys now being lower than this thing hits the cab. So I only have 270 degrees of movement now, ish, whereas before I had 360. But I'm not going to complain about that because everything else is working exactly as it should. So I'm very, very, very happy with the crane as it is. I'm going to try to fix the little things that keep on wanting to screw up. But in the end, I think the looks, the overall feel, the playability now that you have the ability to send this thing up and down instead of just like lifting up the crane itself with the rack before. I like this better. Now, it is a little more temperamental, obviously, and you hear a lot of creaking with the Lego. And yes, you have to have these guys with you. But in the end, who cares? I think it's fantastic. And it looks good. It looks like it's in universe. It looks like it's supposed to be there. And it's doing the job. And it adds more playability to the overall theme of the mobile moon-based screwed up already. Mobile modular moon-based technicians. Because, you know, cranes are awesome. So I'm going to go back, do my job. I hope everybody's doing well. And it looks like I'm almost done the copy process. So I get to go do some stuff now. I will talk to everybody soon. And stay safe, take care, and I'm out.